Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to give a quick demo of the latest version of Rival Risk. Rival Risk is a post-trade enterprise risk management platform that supports futures, equities, options, cash treasuries, spot FX forwards across global exchanges. And the way it works is we pull in starter day position files from brokers or FCMs, clearing firms, and then we take trades intraday through various drop copies, either directly with the back office systems or exchanges. However, we need to get the trades, we'll get the trades. And then we pull all that in, we auto reconcile to the start date positions in the morning, calculate real time P&L, margin, all of the metrics that you want, option Greeks, as the trades come in, as the positions change. It's a fully hosted solution, we have everything that you need to run the system. You don't have to procure any hardware or host anything in your environment. So let's get started. So within Rival Risk, we've got market risk, which is basically real-time metrics that we're updating as data is ticking, positions are changing. We've got scenario risk. That's where you can shock the market by shock the underlying price by either fixed price moves, standard deviations, or percent change, as well as you can shock volatility. You've got pin risk, so looking at what positions you have across all of your accounts, and anything that's close to getting pinned will automatically show up. VaR analysis, so we use our own covariance matrix and we feed that into Monte Carlo VaR, and you can calculate your own, define your own confidence interval a number of days out. And then we've got reports, bunch of different canned reports that we have that you can run, schedule them to run on demand or throughout the day. And then alerts. So any metric that we're calculating, you can set an alert on that and it will trigger an email, also show an indication in the front end. And then trades log, that's basically looking at all the trade details. So let's start with market risk. So this is a view that I have where I have it set up with three different hierarchies. I got master account, trading, and portfolio. You don't have to have three. You can have one. You can have two. It's customizable. But we're calculating these different metrics. So I've got final MM. That's basically our P&L. That's like using our theoretical price for options. And then you've got, in this example, just like Greeks, positions, and Vega, Theta, Rho. And we're calculating that at every level. So you can see for the master account, I can see the summary, and these are all just dummy accounts that we load in our test environment. And then you can expand out and see everything at, in this case, the trading group level. So I can see the P&L, all the option Greeks, as well as like margin and other things that we calculate. And down to the portfolio level. So if there's multiple portfolios under a trading group, you'd see it for each one. Down to the category level. So we're multi-asset. So whether you're trading equities or futures or treasuries or fixed income, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to see the metrics grouped at each of these categories. So for example, if I dig into S&P here, we're going to show the E-mini futures and options, the SPX, XSP. Those are automatically already all grouped together. And then if you expand, let's just say SPX, you can drill down to the expiration level and then all the way down to the individual option. So in this example, I just have one option in this expiration, but I can see everything to the lowest level. And I can customize what metrics I see here. If I right click, I'll show you all of the types of metrics we're calculating. So we've got net basically mid-market P&L, settlement P&L, so once settlements are published, our theoretical price P&L, position information, average buy, sell price, gross market value, net option value, extrinsic value, tons of information here. Dollar cabinet, so this is when something gets settled at cabinet price, but the actual value is lower. You'll see the difference. Net liquidity value, so we take starter day cash plus P&L, and so you can see current net liquidity value, percent change, day over day. You can also see current equity versus net option value. So if someone, let's say, is trading a big box spread that has not a lot of margin, but they have a huge notional position on, you can check how much equity is in the account or cash in the account versus the net option value. You can look at open interest, theoretical prices, all the Greeks. So we've got weighted Greeks, which are sort of normalizing things into different products. So for example, you're trading E-mini versus SPX, you want to normalize your SPX Greeks in terms of E-mini futures. Dollar Greeks, so dollar delta, dollar gamma. Tilt, which is your skew risk. ATMs, which are at the money equivalents. Risk reversal, that's where we're normalizing all of your positions into synthetic risk reversals. So if you look at your tilt risk and your risk reversals, it'll give you a good indication of how to manage that tilt risk. Implied volatility, vol change on the day, Vega added, theta added, different ratios, time weighted Vega. Then we've got market cap, sector, dividend information, and then margin. So we support margin on the ICE. We support ICE IRM. We support SPAN, CME SPAN, as well as CME SPAN 2. SPAN is used for cross margin products. So if you're trading SPX and E-mini, for example, the SPAN value will give you the cross margin number. And then we also support OCC or TIMS margin. So we calculate a risk-based haircut or customer portfolio margin based on the OCC's theoretical price files. You can see, starting margin, change in margin, basically everything you'd want to see. You could also see total margin. So if we take, if you're trading equities and futures in the same trading group, you can see what's the total margin versus the total cash, things like that. For cash treasuries, we calculate DV01, convexity. We also calculate DV01 for the futures. So if you're trading like a basis trade of the cash treasuries versus the treasury futures, you'll see the net DV01, or like the SOFR futures, you'll see the net DV01 as well. And then you can do the slide or scenario P&L, and you can show those directly in the live view. So those will update, I think, every 15 minutes, and it's configurable like how you want to shock things, but then you can see in the live view the actual values directly. So you can add or remove any of these columns. You can also set up tabs. So let's say key metrics. I want to see certain columns, so I can have a tab where I'm just looking at certain columns, or I can even in the tab filter by certain accounts, things like that. So you can also do search, quick filter straight in here. You can also filter within every column header if you want to. You can also filter for certain values. So if the P&L is outside a certain range or greater than a certain value, those filters will apply directly into here as well. You can sort, all that good stuff. All right, let's jump to scenario analysis or slide view. So this is where you're going to shock the market up and down X%, or standard deviations or fixed price moves. So this base P&L, that's a current P&L, and then I can shift up and down. Here I have it where I'm looking at everything by category. So I can say, okay, across the whole firm, what's my equity risk? And then, okay, which accounts have equities on? And then if I want to see, okay, what symbols am I trading within the equities across the whole firm? You can see that as well. And if you want to, see it by account as opposed to category, you just drag this column over, and now it's going to show everything by account. So then it'll go account, then category, all the way down, however you want to look at it. When you get to, let's say, crude oil, I want to look at it, let's say at the expiry level. So I have this one expiration on. I can also see then the strike I have on, and then I can drill down and see within that strike, what are all of the Greeks going up and down? What's the P&L? What's the theoretical price? All that stuff. And let's say let's look at S&P again here. So go at S&P. Let's look at SPX again, and I can say, okay, across all of SPX, what does the scenario look like? Or if I want to drill into a specific expiration, I can do that as well. What's the P&L and Greeks look like for this specific option or this expiration as a whole. So very customizable, easy to use. As far as setting up your templates, so from here, this is where you can create custom templates of how you want to shock things. I can basically shock things by percent price standard deviations. And once I create sort of a default template, then I come in here and I can create different scenarios for each sort of symbol or category. So let's say I want to do something, based off of the category. So I can say, I want to shock equities different than, bonds, fixed income products, or I want to shock, the FX stuff differently. So you can create scenarios by category, you could also do it by sector, market cap, lots of different ways to customize how you want to shock things. Okay, so then let's go to pin risk. So this is where I'm going to say what's the width around the current underlying that I want to check for. So I'm currently looking for 50 cents around the at the money. So this is going to scan all of my accounts, all the positions. I set the expiration date till the 26th of May here. So it's going to basically say anything that expires, between now and that date. It's going to pop in here, and this will just update in real time. So as things are moving, it's going to show me what's the underlying price, what's the strike, how far away, how many calls, how many puts, what's my net position. Pretty straightforward. All right, let's talk about VaR. So with VaR, we have a constant maturity covariance matrix. So we know the correlation between every single future, every single equity, as well as the front month future versus the back month future. We have all of that information in our covariance matrix, and then we feed that into our Monte Carlo engine. We do 10,000 scenarios. You set the confidence interval number of days, and let's do a quick run here right now. It's going to calculate for this one account that I selected, and now it's going to show me the histogram of the 10,000 scenarios. It's also going to show me, that's the all selected, that would be the total VaR. We also have the tail loss, or the CVaR, down here. But I can also see things by category. So this is like if I have the S&P on its own, not as part of a whole portfolio, what does that VaR look like? And same thing, what does the equities look like? So you can see if I add up all of these rows, it's going to be a lot more than the total VaR. And so that's because there's all the offsets and correlations that are happening for the total VaR, makes the VaR a lot lower than it would be if you just had these positions on their own. You could also export this data and see the VaR for each individual instrument. You can see what the volatility we're using, what the underlying price is, what if it's an option, what's the option price that's being simulated. So you can really see all the details and figure out where the VaR is coming from. Okay, then we've got reports. This is where you can set up a bunch of different reports, and you can run them on demand or schedule them to run. So I can just type in what I want to call this report. These are the different canned reports that we have. With each report, then you can have different parameters. So this is the slides template. So I can pick any of those templates that we looked at earlier. I can show how do I want to view the data. Do I want to use started date position? Do I want to include VaR? And you can then say when do you want it to run, do a single run or a recurring run, and you can schedule when you want it to run, how frequently, what days of the week, and then you can pick which accounts you want included. You can say all accounts or just a specific account, and then do you want it to send an email as well as upload it to an FTP site, and then if it's an email, you can pick who's going to get the email. So once you have that set up, then you'll see it here. It'll automatically run on the schedule, or you can just click run and it'll run on demand. Let's hit alerts now. So alerts is where you can set up an alert for any of the metrics that we're calculating. So I say, when do I want the alert active? I can have it be active 24/7 or just specific times of the day. I can then say what level do I want the trading group to check for. Do I want it to check like P&L at the firm level, master account, trading group, or portfolio, for example, which accounts I want to include in the alert, and then which metric do I want the alert to trigger on. So again, this is the same as those, like that column manager I showed you earlier. So every single metric that we calculate, you can set an alert on. A good example is like the slide alert. So this is basically, for example, let's say I want to shock the market up or down 20%, and I want to see if anyone's going negative equity. So this would be the slide. One equity would be like the down 20%. Slide two equity would be like the up 20%. So you can have, alerts based off of those scenarios as well. So let's say we, wanted to do, I don't know, let's just do P&L. So let's say final MM. Then you can pick, do you want it greater than, less than, in between? So let's say less than, $1 million or something. And then you can say, do you want the alert to reset? So a reset is going to say if the alert triggers, it's not going to trigger again unless it hits a reset condition, because you don't want the alert to trigger at $1,000,000 and then $1,000,001, $1,000,002, things like that. So you just had a reset condition, and you would say, if it comes back to a certain level, you can set that reset condition here. And then how do you want the alert applied? Do you want it to look at everything, or do you want it to, just look at a specific category or a specific symbol? So for example, let's say you want a Vega, alert based off of anyone trading GameStop, so you can basically look for a specific alert that's only checking GameStop positions, or a specific future. Let's say crude oil. You want to make sure no one has more than X Delta or X Vega in crude oil positions. You can do that as well. And then you can say, does the alert send an email? Does a reset send an email? And who should be notified? And so once you create your alert, it's going to give you a summary of everything, and then you save it, and then you'll see the alert here. If the alert triggers intraday, you'll see it pop down here, as well as then you'll see how many current alerts are there, when's the last time it triggered, the last time it reset, and all that good information. The last piece is the trade log. That's just basically looking at the trades and seeing all the trades that happen in an account. You can also edit trades from there as well if you wanted to. So that's I know that's a lot, but that's a quick overview of rival risk. Any questions or any interest, please go to rivalsystems.com and submit a demo request. Thank you very much.